Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Kirsch1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Howling Griffons, as we get into some more lore on their planet and some of their actual battles. These guys are ferocious in battle, so we're going to learn about that today. If you guys have any suggestions for other Warhammer 40K topics that you guys would like us to create a video for, we take requests. Simply comment down below, put suggestion, followed by your request. With that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Howling Griffons. The feudal world of Manticore serves as the homeworld of the Howling Griffons chapter, and has done so for all of their known history. The history of its days prior to the chapter's arrival is uncertain, those records long lost to time. Located within the Ultima Segmentum, Imperial records clearly indicate that the chapter had deliberately and artificially prevented the world from advancing beyond a pre-industrial technological base. Through an uncharacteristic degree of covert operations and manipulations, the Howling Griffons have also kept the world's feudal city-states on a near-constant war footing, which has led to the culture that has a poor record of its own origins. This enables the Howling Griffons to select from a pure gene stock of hardened warriors who display the desired traits of ferociousness, stoicism, and tenacity. From the earliest days of their pre-recruitment, the warrior elite of Manticore, who will one day become battle brothers of the Howling Griffons, are brought up in a war-torn feudal world of pre-industry. In this crucible of battle, personal and familial honor, and martial duty, the citizens are forged into perfect initiates for the chapter. It is in this life that they learn the value of glorious warfare and to respect and rely on their brothers in arms. While they may lack the technology even to comprehend the military might of the Adeptus Astartes, the people of Manticore are predisposed by the culture of their birth to hold dear the martial ideals held by the Howling Griffons. When the day finally comes that a new recruit is elevated into the ranks of an Adeptus Astartes, it is also as a continuation of its previous life, albeit a much greater scale. His heraldry is no longer that of his local household, it is instead the Griffin Rampant. His allies on the field are no longer the members of his local nobility, they are his battle brothers, and the land he fights to defend is no longer his city-state, it is the entire Imperium of Man. When he first dons the Crimson Livery, he sets aside the military training and traditions of his past life, and takes as paramount the teachings of Guilliman as inscribed in the words of the Codex Astartes. The Howling Griffons Fortress Monastery, known as Proud Eyrie, oversees a substantial number of well-equipped manufactura, which are kept isolated from the world's native inhabitants. These manufactura are productive and capably equipped. The Howling Griffons chapter is capable of manufacturing some less common STC patterns. These include the patterns necessary for Mark 8 errata power armor, as well as the Land Raider Prometheus. Such a highly functional forge and unrestricted access to its output has played a crucial role in the chapter's ability to remain deployed at all times. This vital asset permits the chapter to continuously resupply its fleets and to have sufficient reserves that its initiates can undergo through training prior to entering the field. In addition to Manticore, the Howling Griffons recruit from several other worlds, including Denar 4. This is a necessity for the chapter, as without additional worlds, it would be impossible for them to rapidly recover the heavy losses they suffered by engaging in endless campaigns. It is important to note that in spite of this option, they still continue to preferably recruit from Manticore. Its volatile culture ensures that candidates from the world are more capable of fulfilling the chapter's needs. Some of the other recruiting options for the chapter, such as Denar 4, have cultures that are less focused on developing candidates who will prove to be worthy and capable initiates. An additional reason for the chapter's aggressive Manticorian recruitment efforts is that the planet has a history of producing a significantly higher number of psychers than would normally be expected. Many of the individuals with these talents are recruited into the Howling Griffons as aspirants. However, the chapter's librarians also oversee the planet's population for undue signs of psychic ability. The codiciers weed out any who might possess a risk for the warp contamination or demonic possession. For much of their history, the Howling Griffons have regarded the traitorous Wordbearer legions as their greatest enemy. The precise origin of their specific conflict with these heretics is unclear. Throughout the chapter's early history, there were countless incidents of assault against the traitor legions. both forces suffered grievous losses in these battles, as the full fury of these Astartes were unleashed in these savage wars. It was the massacre at Ariel's Point in the 220th year of the 38th millennium that finally pushed the Howling Griffons far beyond the tipping point in their lust for vengeance against the Wordbearers. The chapter master at that time was Orlando Furioso. He was traveling aboard one of the chapter's battle barges, along with the 8th Company and much of the veteran 1st Company. They were en route to the chapter's homeworld of Manacor to celebrate the 5,000th anniversary of the chapter's founding, when the battle barge stopped in the Ariel's Point system to resupply. The Chaos Lord Persiclitter, the Forsworn, led a combined force of Wordbearers and Night Lord's Chaos Space Marines in an ambush against the Loyalists. The Howling Griffons were caught tragically unprepared for battle against so overwhelming an enemy force. In short order, their ancient vessel was destroyed after a brutal boarding action. The surviving Space Marines made planetfall aboard their Thunderhawks on the surface of the nearby world of Ariel's Quintus. The barren world offered little protection for the outnumbered members of the Howling Griffons. In short order, those who survived the destruction of their battle barge were overwhelmed by the coordinated assault of the traitorous legionnaires. None were left alive, and the chaotic forces seized much of the chapter's war gear, including precious and vitally irreplaceable gear that had been the province of the 1st Company and the chapter master's honor guard. The bodies of those slain were desecrated and their gene seed either destroyed or stolen. The only body recovered by the chapter was the chapter master Furioso. The traitors mounted it upon the Thunderhawk and left it in orbit of Ariel's Quintus, as a sign to any who might see it. Months later, other members of the Howling Griffons tracked down the missing starship and company, and recovered the chapter master's body and gene seed. After this tragedy, all members of the Howling Griffons chapter swore an oath of vengeance against the Wordbearers and Persiclitter, who eventually ascended to become a demon prince. The Denar IV suppression was an imperial military campaign carried out by the Howling Griffons against the Chaos Cultists on an agri-world of Denar IV in the year 109 of the 40th millennium. During the long search for the Wordbearers Chaos Space Marine warband of Declamus the Vaulted, the Howling Griffons 3rd Company, under Captain Penvalth Kochim, responded to a planetary distress call from the world of Denar IV. The important supply world had succumbed to rot from within as the worship of the ruinous powers took root amid its lesser cults and cult clans. As the Howling Griffons descended on the planet, they found only a handful of its city-states holding out against the hordes of Chaos Cultists and demon-possessed madmen. Vastly outnumbered, the Howling Griffons deployed to the savannah, and wielding their superiority in armor and air power to stay mobile and spearhead assaults against the heretics, smashed the cult forces in great sight, sweeping before driving onward to relieving the city sieges. The loyalist inhabitants of Denar greeted the Howling Griffons as divinely sent saviors and gladly rallied to aid them in liberating their world from the dark forces that assailed it, selling their lives alongside the Space Marines. The remaining campaign was bloody and ruthless, ever after casting a nightmarish pall over the memory of Denamar's people. Since the victory, the Howling Griffons have maintained a lasting oath to protect the planet and the memory of the many martyrs that had their loyalty to the Emperor, while the people of Denar IV have kept faith with their saviors in providing them with vital and the pickings of their youth as the chapter's recruits. The Joe Run Retaliation was an imperial military campaign prosecuted by the Howling Griffons against the treachery of General Joe Run of the 15th Helicarlon Ironclad Imperial Guard Battle Group. The entire Imperial Battle Group should have been on its way to reinforce the lines of the Gothic War, but instead turned traitor in the year 109 of the 41st millennium and slaughtered their commissars. The Imperium moved to act with decisive force as the foul taint of the Xenos, known as the Dark Eldar, was found to be the root cause of this betrayal, with Jorun and his personal cadre laid low and corrupted by the addictions to the aliens' foul psychotropics and depraved practices, thanks to the dark arts of the Cabal of the Crimson Libation. The humans were no more than disposable tools used by the Dark Eldar to enslave planetary populations by treachery and brute force, with little risk to the aliens themselves. This could not remain unpunished, and the retaliation force that the Imperium launched in the year 143 of the 41st millennium was fully intended to smash the rebels and their dark allies with brutal and overwhelming power, annihilating them without regard or mercy. The combined task force was comprised of the Howling Griffons chapter, then about 8 companies in effective strength, who were given overall command of the campaign, and reinforced with supporting companies from the Ultramarines and the Sons of Auror chapter. The Traitor Guard were intercepted as they made planetfall on the feral world of Asturia. Caught unprepared for such a ferocious counter-assault, over 5,000 renegade guardsmen died in the first hour of the ferocious Space Marine attack, torn apart on their landing zones with much of their heavy armor yet to be unlimbered. As the battle was joined in full, the task of destroying the traitors' command fell to the chaplain Armin Titus of the Howling Griffons 4th Battle Company, who executed a drop-pod assault into the heart of the disoriented enemy, confronting not only the elite of General Jorun's Ogren cadre, but also the inhumanely lithe and cruel forms of the Dark Eldar that rose around him. The Howling Griffons dispatched them with bolter fire and unshatterable resolve. It was Titus who fought his way to the traitor general and delivered the Emperor's judgment despite suffering grievous wounds tainted with vile Dark Eldar poison, cleaving Jorun's skull in half with his Crozius Arcanum. He would later be enshrined with all due reverence within a dreadnought sarcophagus in order to continue his service to his chapter. The traitors' morale collapsed with the death of their leader and the swift desertion of their foul Xenos allies. The disordered and panicked traitors were ruthlessly hunted down and slain in the aftermath. The renegade forces were utterly wiped out within only 6 hours of the battle's opening salvos. And those were 40 facts about the Howling Griffons. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's going to be a part 3, I believe, because there's more lore on them. If you don't want to wait, jump on over to the wiki page. The link is down in the description. That's going to take you to the Howling Griffons lore page, and you can read up on more of their lore there. Again, guys, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing. Because of you, we can continue to let this channel grow, and we can continue to provide more awesome Warhammer 40K content for you guys. If you want to help us out, jump on over to our Patreon page. It's a simple $1 a month, and that helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't do that, that's fine. Simply by liking, commenting, you're telling YouTube that, hey, this channel is awesome, and I want to get more content from them. So it helps us out. With that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.